Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we will have second session of discussion on Narad Bhakti Sutra 54. Yesterday we tried to cover all the aspects, but we couldn't. We will try and complete it today. So this 54th sutra is as follows: Gun Rahitam Kamana Rahitam Pratikshan Vardhamanam Avichannam Sukshmataram Anubhav Rupam. That pure love of God manifests as the most subtle consciousness, devoid of material qualities and material desires, increasing at every moment and never interrupted. Avichannam. Let's start the discussion after the Mangalacharan. आज अनुलंबित बुझाओ कनकावदातो संकीर्तनैक पितरौ कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरौ युग धर्म पालो वंदे जगत प्रिय करौ करुणावतारो वंदे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंदो सहोदितो गौड़ोदय पुष्पंदो चित्रो छंदो तमोनुदो पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्त रूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्त शक्तिकम् श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमेकः पुरुष पुराना श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीरधारी कृपाम्बुधिर यस्तम अहम प्रपत्ते। So we are in the fourth chapter of Narad Bhakti Sutra, which starts from Sutra 51, wherein Sri Narad informed us that the pure devotion is anirvachaniya, it cannot be described. And then in 52nd Sutra he said, even if we try to describe, it is as good as a mute person trying to explain the taste of the food. And then in 53rd Sutra, Sri Narad assured that whatever, it doesn't really matter that devotion cannot be described. However, devotion, pure devotion is revealed to a fit candidate, a qualified person. And then Sri Narad is, in order to increase our desire, Sri Narad is explaining the qualities, the symptoms of pure devotion. And then he says, well, it is avichinnam, it is uninterrupted, it is kamana rahitam, it is devoid of any material desires, it is gun rahitam, devoid of any material qualities, it is sukshmataram, it is more subtle than the most subtle, and pratikshan vardhamanam, and it is increasing every second. It is increasing, it is ever increasing, and it increases every second. And then anubhav rupam, that you can actually experience pure devotional service. So we did discuss yesterday the sukshmataram and gun rahitam. Today we'll start with direct the pratikshan vardhamanam, that it is increasing every second. That's the idea. And we'll start with a quotation from Chaitanya Bhagavat, wherein Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says, Lag bali chali aaye sindhu tari bare, yashera sindhu na deya kul adhik adhik bade. At although Sri Ananta tries to reach the shore of the ocean of Krishna's qualities, he is unable to do so, for the ocean is continuously expanding. And mind you that Sri Anant Shesh, he has thousands and thousands of mouths. So there is no dearth of capability, or there is no dearth of motivation, and he is trying very hard, yet he cannot reach that that Seema. And Srila Prabhupada in innumerable occasions, Srila Prabhupada says, well, we have experience of ocean in material world, and the ocean, we know that the limits of ocean, they are basically stagnant. That means the ocean never crosses its boundaries. It always remains within the boundary. And Srila Prabhupada discussed with one of his disciples, wherein he said that, look, you remember few years back we were on the same beach, and it was exactly the same way, and so many years later, you see, nothing has really changed. The sea has not crossed its boundaries. And in fact, the reverse is true. We know in many situations sea actually recedes. We know this Navi Mumbai, most of the area is reclamation area where the sea has receded, and the government is building lots and lots of buildings on that, reclaiming the land given up by sea, because the ocean has receded. However, this is not the case with the ocean of devotional service, the ocean of Krishna's qualities. It is, first of all, it tastes sweet, unlike the salty water of water found in material world. It is actually very sweet to taste. Otherwise, why would somebody like to taste that? It tastes like nectar. That is the only reason we would like to taste it. Unlike the material ocean, which is very salty, and you can't even drink it. And what to talk of drink if even a drop it goes in your eyes? And it's a big problem. Once I went to Israel, there's this Dead Sea. It is full of minerals, and they have installed a lot of water taps, fresh water taps on the sea beach, that in case by chance a drop of sea water which is full of minerals, it goes into your eyes, it's a huge burning sensation. So immediately you need to come on the shore and wash your eyes immediately with fresh water. That's not the case with the sea of devotional service. It is ever increasing, and it tastes like nectar. And if it goes in your eyes, and you can even see clearer, and your eyes will feel happy with that. So that's the difference between the two oceans. And as far as ever increasing is concerned, in Bhagavatam it is mentioned, and actually surprise is expressed on the limitless fortune of the Brajvasis, wherein it is said, Aho Bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Vrajokasam, Yan Mitram Paramanandam Purnam Brahm Sanatanam. And it says, Brahma is saying in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-32, how greatly fortunate are Nand Maharaj, the cowherd men, and the inhabitants of Brajbhumi. There is no limit to their fortune, because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman, has become their friend. So there is no limit actually. No limit means it is not that the ocean is increasing. Well, okay, the ocean is increasing, and there when you reach that point it stops. No, it is increasing, and there is no point where it will ever stop. It is ever and ever increasing. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also expressed the same sentiment in first verse of Shikshashtakam Cheto Darpan Marjanam Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairav Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that this ocean of pure devotional service characterized by chanting of Harinam, this is ever increasing. It never stops at any point of time, and Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavatam 2.636 purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a fantastic purport to explain what does it actually mean. Now let's read it together and try to figure out how wonderfully Srila Prabhupada has brought the conclusions, the essence of the teachings, the instructions given by our Purvati Acharyas. And here in this 636, Srila Prabhupada says, it is said in the scriptures, Brahm Saukhyam tu Anantam, that is, spiritual happiness is unlimited. Here it is said that even the Lord cannot measure such happiness. Now Srila Prabhupada is now going to focus on this particular point, that the Lord cannot measure this spiritual happiness, and he says that it doesn't mean the Lord cannot measure it and therefore imperfect in that sense. That because the Lord cannot measure, so then there is an imperfection in Lord, because there is something the Lord cannot do. He cannot measure the happiness. A similar point was discussed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he said, well, is there a possibility that Lord Krishna can create a stone he cannot lift? Now this is a very tricky question. Now if we say the Lord can create a stone which he cannot lift, so because he cannot lift, there is imperfection. And then if we say the Lord cannot create a stone which he cannot lift, because he can lift everything, but because he cannot create, there is imperfection. So this is a tricky question wherein you look at it from any angle, the conclusion apparently it seems that Lord is imperfect. So here Srila Prabhupada is giving answer. The actual position is that the Lord can measure it, but the happiness in the Lord is also identical with the Lord on account of absolute knowledge. The happiness or devotional service, because it is energy, it is an integral part of Lord Krishna, so it has the same qualities of Krishna. That because the happiness is identical with Krishna, so the happiness derived from the Lord may be measured by the Lord. Well, okay, the happiness, even though it is it has no bounds, but still the Lord has the potency to measure it, and the Lord measures it. And then what happens when the Lord measures it? Srila Prabhupada says, but the happiness increases again. Well, okay, it was unlimited, but still the Lord Krishna managed to measure it. But okay, but then again the very next second it increased. Why it is increasing? Because it is identical with Krishna, whose qualities are increasing every moment. Pratikshan Vardhamanam. This is the quality of Krishna. And you see, this is the major difference between pure devotional service, the happiness derived from pure devotional service, and the happiness in impersonal liberation. You see, the impersonal liberation, essentially it means that there is no change, because impersonal means that it is nishkriya, there is no activity, there is no vikara, there is no transformation. And so because there is no transformation, it has got the highest possible happiness the Sukham Brahmbhuta Prasannatma. As soon as a jiva attains impersonal liberation, he becomes unlimitedly happy. However, because this happiness, unlimited happiness, is constant, there comes a time, and it will definitely come. There will come a time when this jiva who is enjoying this impersonal bliss, he will feel satiated. He will feel, oh, enough of this. It's just like eating tasty gulab jamuns. Howsoever tasty the gulab jamuns are, you eat 10, 20, 30. But then, you have to at any given point in time, you will feel fed up. Oh, that's it, I can't eat anymore. And that's exactly what happens in impersonal liberation, and that's exactly when the jiva in living in happily in Brahm Jyoti, he feels frustrated, and as soon as he feels frustrated, it may take millions of years, doesn't matter. As Rishi Lomash, his whole body is covered with hairs, and he has got this benediction that when life of one Brahma, which is in trillions of years, when the life of one Brahma is over, one hair will fall down, and when all the hairs will fall down, that's when Lomash Rishi will die. And he was doing tapasya in the open without any hut or anything. And then some devotees, some Mahatmas, sadhus came and said, oh, why are you taking so much of pains? Why don't you construct a hut? At least it will save you from, the winter cold, and it will save you from, this heat during summers. And Lomash Rishi said, well, I can construct a hut, no problem, but the only thing is that my life is so short. Why should I even bother to construct a hut? I will die any moment, and he is going to live for thousands upon thousand times Lord Brahma's age, which itself is in trillions of years. So even if when we are talking about eternity, any length of time is actually insignificant. So it may take millions of years to for a jiva to feel satisfied and then become frustrated, but then it is bound to happen. And as soon as that happens, the jiva, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32 that the jiva again falls down. He falls down because he chose a constant phenomena rather than the lotus feet of Krishna, which gives an ever increasing bliss. Because of that fault, he is bound to feel frustrated, and he is bound to fall down. That's the basically verdict. So here the Srila Prabhupada is saying that the happiness increases, and then the Lord increases. Lord again measures it, and that happiness again increases. The Lord again measures it, and the happiness again increases, and the Lord again measures it more and more. And further Srila Prabhupada says, and as such, there is eternally a competition between increment and measurement. Increases, measure, increase, measure, so much so that the competition is never stopped, but goes on unlimitedly ad infinitum. And Srila Prabhupada further says, spiritual happiness is Anandambudhi Vardhanam, or the ocean of happiness which increases. And we find exactly this is what happens between the pastimes between Krishna and the gopis. The gopis see Krishna, They are already most beautiful. When they see Krishna, oh, they feel so happy. Their beauty increases. Krishna is most beautiful. Madan Mohan, even Krishna captivates the heart of Kamadeva, Cupid. And yet, when Krishna sees the beauty of gopis, he feels so happy. His beauty increases. And when the gopis see the increased beauty of Krishna, their happiness further increases, and so forth. So that eternal competition as to who will feel more satisfied it goes on and on and on. That's the spiritual realm. That's where it all happens, and we will discuss an example from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and it has got wonderful discussion between Shri Krishna and Shri Narad. Once Shri Narad went to meet Shri Krishna, and mind you, Shri Narad is the spiritual master of Vyasadeva. He is the most clever, most intelligent person, Shri Narad. And when he met Shri Krishna asked him to take a benediction. Now Shri Narad is so wonderfully happy, and you see, he is nisvarth. He is free from all material desires, and his only happiness lies in bringing more and more jivas in the shelter of Krishna, and he is always thinking about others. And so he asks a benediction, which is recorded in Brihad Bhagavatamrita 1.7.135. And Shri Narad says, Shri Krishna Chandra Kasyapi Triptir Astu Kadapi Na Bhavato Anugrahe Bhakto Premni Cha Anand Bhajane. And Shri Narad said, Oh Krishna Chandra, please give me the benediction, please grant me that no one, he is not talking about himself, no one, he says, will ever feel that he has enough of your mercy, your devotional service, or pure love for you, this reservoir of ecstasy. Shri Narad is asking benediction for others, that they should never feel satisfied. They should never think, oh, this is enough. Now I cannot take more, I don't want more. That's not what it means. That's not what it actually, there is no tripti, there is no satisfaction. And because Shri Narad is asking about others, that in itself is glorious. Like Shri Vasudev Dutt, he is asking Lord Chaitanya, oh, give me sins of everyone and let them go back to your abode and engage in your service, and I'll face the consequences of their sins. And devotee Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Narsimhadev, oh, I am not worried about myself, I have received your mercy, I am concerned about these fools and rascals. They are giving up your lotus feet and they are engaging in material happiness. So a pure devotee, and Shri Narad is the epitome of the Parakashta of Goshtanandi. He is always trying to please Krishna by converting more and more conditional souls to pure devotion of Krishna. So when he asked, okay, let nobody ever feel satisfied by your mercy, by your devotional service or pure love of you, and you know the answer that Krishna gave, it will we cannot even imagine the answer Krishna gives. And then Krishna says, Vidakt Nikaracharya, O spiritual master of most intelligent persons. And Krishna is saying that sarcastically, by the way. And Krishna says, Vidakt Nikaracharya ko namayam varomataha What kind of benediction is this? I asked you to take a benediction, and this is the benediction you asked? This is your desire? And Shri Krishna says, Swabhavo mat kripa bhakti prem nam vyakto ayam evyat. And he says, my mercy, my devotional service and ecstatic love for me all have this nature. That should be simply obvious. I mean, Krishna is basically telling Shri Narad, I mean, why have you even asked this benediction? It is already there. My mercy, my kripa, it knows no bounds. My devotional service, it knows no bounds. My prema, it knows no bounds. It is ever increasing. Nobody can ever feel satisfied. That's the beauty of it. And how can you ask this? I mean, isn't this obvious to you? Shri Krishna is asking Shri Narada, and we look at so many instances in scriptures, in Bhagavatam 10:44-14. It mentions Gopyas tapah kim acharan yad amushya rupam lavanya saram asamurdhavam ananya siddham drigbi pibanti anusav abhinavam durapam ekant dham yashasa shriya ashvarasya. And there it is mentioned that what austerities must the gopis have performed. With their eyes they always drink the nectar of Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness, and it is not to be equaled or surpassed. That form is the only abode of beauty, fame and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh and extremely rare. The Lord's beauty, the devotional service and Krishna Prem, it is ever fresh. It keeps on increasing in terms of qualities and in terms of quantity as well. It never stops anything. And devotees, the Vaishnavas, they are surprised. I mean, what kind of austerities have the gopis performed? They are drinking and they are not satisfied. And in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and other scriptures, we find that Srimati Radharani and gopis in general, Srimati Radharani and in particular, they'll always find newer and newer rasas in Krishna, and they will always feel surprised. I mean, how is it possible? I mean, it was not there, and suddenly now it is there. I mean, why we didn't see it earlier? They'll always feel surprised, and it is not one time or twice or 10 times. Every second it is happening like that. And Rupa Goswami gives the definition of ever fresh in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he says that sadanu bhuyamanopi karoti an anu bhutavat. That even though a devotee has relished the qualities of Krishna, yet he says an anu bhutavat, that they feel, oh, we have not relished. What's happening? And he says vismayam madhuri bhir yah sa prokto nitya nutana, that he who astonishes by appearing to be previously unrelished, this quality was not relished, although he has already been relished with his sweet qualities, is called ever fresh, nitya nutana. Krishna is nitya nutana. The gopis, Srimati Radharani, will always find newer and newer qualities in Krishna, and they will always feel bewildered as to how come they never experienced it earlier, and they are always absorbed in that ever new rasas in Krishna. And So when Krishna is ever fresh, when the mercy of Krishna, the devotional service and the love of Krishna, it is already ever increasing. There is no bound. Pratikshan vardhamanam. And Sri Krishna told Narada, I mean, this benediction, actually there was no need because it is already there. Now Sri Narada was feeling morose. Oh, what happened? I got an opportunity, I lost it. But Sri Krishna asked Sri Narada, okay, well, you ask another benediction. Sri Krishna didn't say, well, you got one opportunity, you see, I gave you, well, you didn't utilize it, what can I do? Krishna is Bhrit Anugraha Kataram. Krishna is always anxious to bestow mercy on his Bhrityas, his servants. That's the quality of Krishna, and Krishna never leaves any chance unused. Whenever there is a chance to bestow mercy on his devotees, Krishna will always utilize that, because he is always anxious, and he himself goes and delivers that mercy. Yogshema Vahamiyam, Krishna himself goes. Krishna doesn't trust anybody else to do a perfect job. So Krishna himself goes. It is explained, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining that suppose there is a devotee who is in problem, so Krishna will send his Sudarshan Chakra, go and protect. But then Shri Krishna is never satisfied. He is doubtful what's happening, whether it has been done or not, whether Sudarshan Chakra will do his job properly or not. So because Shri Krishna is ashankit, he is doubtful, he is anxious, he doesn't wait for Sudarshan Chakra to actually go and come back with the news that the job is done. Krishna immediately after dispatching Sudarshan Chakra, Krishna himself goes, and himself Krishna wants to ensure, well, my devotee is protected. That is why Krishna says, Na me bhakta pranashti, my devotee will never be vanquished, because even though I will send Sudarshan Chakra, still I'll myself also come to ensure that that no harms come in the way of my devotees. That's the whole idea of mercy of Shri Krishna, and this is where the maximum importance is placed by Sri Madhvacharya on the mercy of Krishna. And he says, he quotes that verse, that famous verse in Bhagavatam, where he says, Dravyam karma cha kalascha svabhavo jiva eva cha santi yad anugrata na santi yad upeksha, that all the ingredients, the jiva, the karma, the svabhava, all exist by the mercy of Krishna. And if Krishna upeksha, if Krishna ignores them, if Krishna doesn't care for them, then they are all vanquished. They can no longer hold their existence. So that's the mercy, which is the most important quality, which is attractive to the devotees of Krishna. So Krishna gave another opportunity to Sri Narada. Okay, well, you ask another benediction, and now Sri Narada asked this benediction, which is the epitome of Goshtanandi, which has to be the goal of all the preachers, all the devotees who can actually speak about the instructions of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. And Sri Narada says, it's mentioned in verse 143 of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and Sri Narada says, O swan, O Rajhansa, O swam gliding in the lakes of the Brajvasi's love, I wish that I may wander everywhere, always chanting, drinking the nectar of your names. Those most sweet names arise from the ocean of Gokul and spread the glories of your infinitely varied dress and ways of acting, your pastimes. As I wander, now that's the most important line. As I wander, behaving like a madman, may I distribute joy to everyone in all the world. You experience yourself and you deliver it to others. Whether somebody wants it, well, it really doesn't matter. We have it, we are tasting it, and because we are tasting, we know what kind of happiness it can bestow. Let everyone feel the happiness I am feeling. So that's the idea of a Goshtanandi devotee, a devotee who wants to preach, and that is why it is incumbent upon all the disciples and grand disciples and grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada and many more to come to invest all their energies in propagating the glories of Harinam, in propagating the message of Lord Chaitanya. Further, when we talk about ever increasing, let's look at another example from Bharat Bhagavatamrita. I'll just discuss this example and then we will stop, and further qualities we will discuss tomorrow. So in Bharat Bhagavatamrita 3:6-11, the thoughts of Brajvasis are mentioned. What each and every Brajvasi thinks actually. And there it is mentioned, every one of the millions and millions of cowherds, the children, young people, elders, what do they think? They think, each and every one of them thinks, I alone am most dear to Krishna. Each and every one is thinking that I am the only one who is, Krishna takes care of everyone, but I am the most beloved, I am most dear to Krishna. That's the thought that is implanted in the mind of all the Brajvasis, all the plants, creepers, the cows, and everyone. Everyone thinks, I am most dear to Krishna. And the gopis, we find that in Rasa dance, all the gopis were thinking, Krishna is only with me. He is actually neglecting others, and Krishna is taking special interest in me. How wonderful is that? All the queens in Dwarka, they were thinking, you see, Krishna spends most of the time with me. He is always taking care of my desires and my needs like a hen-packed husband. How wonderful is that? And in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, we see when during Rath Yatra, now there were so many groups of Kirtaniyas, and in each and every group, Lord Chaitanya was personally dancing, and each group were thinking that, Lord Chaitanya is only with us throughout the Rath Yatra, and others, we don't know what's happening to others. Lord Chaitanya is not leaving our group. We are so fortunate. He is bestowing such kind of mercy. Only King Pratap Rudra, by virtue of his doing the menial service of taking care of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, Lord Chaitanya bestowed that transcendental vision where he could see that Lord Chaitanya is present in all the groups simultaneously, tatakshana. It is not that he was running like a fireball. No. In all the groups, he was present at every moment. Now that's the expertise, that's the opulence of Krishna. And the next verse of Bharat Bhagavatamrita, it says that Krishna also thinks like that. That Krishna also thinks, I am most dear to this devotee. That's the thought that Krishna has for each and every of his associates. And then what happens? What is the result of that? Now, because both the parties are thinking like that, Krishna on one hand and all the devotees on the other hand, all the Brajvasis on the other hand, they are thinking like that. Not only gopis, all the Brajvasis, including gopis. Well, gopis, they are basically, epitome. They are the parakashta of such feelings. So, what is the result of that? Now, a wonderful result comes out of this particular feeling, and that result is tathapi tripti kasyapi. It is mentioned that tathapi tripti kasyapi navodeti kadachana prem trishna cha vividha danya mata vivardate. That yet none of them ever becomes satiated. No one feels satisfied. Oh, I am most dear, I am most dear. Well, still nobody ever feels satiated. Oh, now I am satisfied. And this says their love shows a thirst. Now, prem trishna, their love shows a thirst that is the mother of sheer humility, and that simply grows stronger and stronger. Now, the devotee, he thinks, well, Krishna loves me the most, I love Krishna the most. However, now this prem trishna, out of this that thirst the prema gives, now that thirst actually brings out a wonderful quality that the devotee, he thinks, oh, how unfortunate I am that even though I am most beloved to Krishna, Krishna is most beloved to me, yet, and I have this opportunity, I have this opportunity to serve Krishna. Look at how unfortunate I am that I am unable to serve Krishna nicely. I should have done much more than what I am doing. It is because of my inability. Something is lacking. Why I am so unfortunate, why I can't serve Krishna properly is beyond my understanding. I can't understand that. And because a devotee thinks I am unable to serve Krishna nicely, from that feeling which comes from the womb of prem trishna, the thirst for Krishna prema, that from the womb of the prem trishna comes danya, humility, the natural pure humility. And that humility, actually, it doesn't stop ever. It becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And it is explained that it becomes so strong that this trishna, which is the great lobha, and from this lobha develops the humility, and this humility, it becomes so strong that unsatisfaction that I am able to serve Krishna nicely, it becomes so strong that even if Krishna is present in front having pastimes with the devotee feel separation from Krishna, the devotee feel viraha. Now we understand why the devotees feel separation even in the presence of Krishna. It was a mystery, but thanks to Sanatana Goswami, now that mystery is solved. Now we know why, to at least theoretically we understand that why the gopis, the Brajvasis, why they were feeling separation even when Krishna is present in front of their eyes. They can touch Krishna, still they are feeling separation. It is not out of that they are feeling good fortune, that they are very fortunate. It is actually because they are feeling very humble, and they are feeling that we are not serving Krishna properly. Now that's the attitude that each and every devotee must nourish in their hearts if they ever want to be able to chant the holy names of Krishna incessantly. And that's the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Amanina Manadin Kirtaniya Sadari. You have to become very humble, and then only there is possibility that we will be able to chant the holy names without any interruption under any circumstance. It has to be born out of humility rather than anything else. If it is born from anything else, well, it will never be incessant. There will be disturbances. So all our focus should be at becoming humble, and that humility will be generated from how much thirst, how much trishna we have to serve Krishna. This is the whole gamut of devotional service. So we will stop here and continue discussion on this sutra tomorrow. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,